We are together this afternoon. Is it on?
Your mic on?
Are you clicking or?
I'm sorry, I thought it was on the slide.
It's on. So again, welcome. Glad you're here. This afternoon, we will be working together primarily on the 90-day plan and PLT process protocols. The learning objective is up there. You can read along while I'm explaining it. Also, I'd like to point out how it connects with several sub-elements of our 4 different quality standards. The agenda, also, you can read for yourselves. Specifically, you'll be doing some work, reflective thinking, analyzing where you are as a team, and then working together as that team to put together specific action plans for your PLT or for your department. Oh, Sherry. Hold on to it. Yeah. Okay. We'll follow you.
Hi, we're going to do our mindfulness minutes. So what I'm using today is Headspace. So if you have downloaded the free option, this is one. It's exactly 1 minute if you just want to start it in your classroom or if you just need it to take a 1-minute break.
So sitting comfortably, just taking a big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you breathe in, noticing how the body expands. As you breathe out, just watching the body soften. As you gently close the eyes. And rather than the mind leading the breath, allow the breath to lead the mind. Notice the sensation of the breath. Notice it where you feel it in the body. If you need to, you can just gently place your hand on the stomach. And just following that rising and falling sensation. Nothing else to do. Allowing thoughts to come and go. And when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again.
All right, thank y'all so much.
All right, a couple of reminders. Reminder, and I know you guys all know about this, but the DDI Day is on Friday. You've seen lots of communications from Andre. The latest one is 9/23 if you ever need to go back and check it out. It has lots of links. I also sent out a consolidated version. If you have any questions what your deliverables are, for example, the SAT group, the deliverable says to bring an interim, and we know you have no interim data, so please don't feel too panicked about that if you're in the SAT group. I asked everybody about a week and a half ago to make sure that they were registered. Some people told me that they were in the wrong section, so I have changed all of those people. So hopefully everyone's checked it by now, made sure that they were registered. And just a final reminder about professional expectations. We know you know how to conduct yourself and hold yourself, but we just wanted to put one more reminder out there that we are repping Hinckley out there in the world. And we also wanted to celebrate a 90% success on posting grades. And I know.
Only one chest. All right, got it.
Only admin's excited, but that's okay. Make sure you post it before you leave the building today. Okay? I'm gonna tomorrow. I love you tomorrow.
It's only a day.
Oh wow.
All right, I want to go over the professional norms. We want to keep this in mind. Engage fully and honor the time and contributions of others, and you are going to have time to collaborate. Make sure there's equity of voice. Please make sure we honor the agenda and learning outcomes that we have created for this wonderful time together. Please limit off-task sidebar conversations and off-task technology use. That's your phone, that's your laptops. Please assume best intentions from us, from each other. We are a team trying to work on behalf of our students and our community. Please make sure that our actions and decisions are focused on students first. Everything we do is for our kids. Please be equity-minded and purpose-driven. And if you are engaged in a conflict, disagreement with philosophies, approaches with your teammates, please make sure that you do that in a restorative way. We certainly want to challenge beliefs and perspectives, but we want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard and we're able to resolve those in a way that maintains the positive dynamic of our group. Before we launch into the 90-day plans, I wanted to give 3 departments an opportunity to transition to their small group professional development. Can I have counselors, mental health, and deans? They're transitioning out to talk about 3 topics, and I want to make sure you're aware of it because it is in support of our work. These 3 departments are going to be collaborating together on behalf of developing small group, social emotional groups for our kiddos. They're also going to talk about mindfulness rooms that will be located in the Nest in 1350 and in the counseling office. We had mindfulness kits granted to us, and we want to make sure that we're using those with fidelity to make sure that our students have opportunities just to kind of reset and have some space and time to process their emotions and feelings. And then the third thing they're going to be talking about is the critical incident protocol. When things happen in our building, how we can be proactive in making sure that we are putting things in place before they turn into a crisis. So thank you for our 3 departments. I hope you have a valuable and useful time together. I know. Thank you so much. All right. Then I'm going to pass it over to Jen, and she's going to talk about her wonderful 90-day plan, which is on assessment.
Yes, Jen.
And you have... Yeah,
All right, should I put it around my neck?
you can. And you have 10 minutes.
That's great. Thanks, Julie. All right, everybody. So our first 3 90-day plans that we're going to talk about today are around assessment framework, 1, math and literacy, 2. There are a lot of overlapping components with these 3 90-day plans. And so we're going to unpack those a little bit today and kind of preview some of the work that we're going to engage in this year as a staff, collaboratively working together to impact student outcomes. So one of the things is that we have assessments, literacy and math. We are mean moms, and Emily gets to be cool mom with climate and culture. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. So some of our goals around our assessment framework is 1, increasing student proficiency in the meets and exceeds category by 5%, and then also decreasing in the not meets category. Another one of our big outcomes is we really this year need to focus on meeting that 95 participation rate on our assessments. So some of the actions that are going to be rolled out this year in response to some of the data that we've gotten back from our last school performance framework outcome is 1, continuing to regularly assess students, and that's proficiency on those priority standards, but also embedding some of that thinking skill around the SAT suite and embedding some of those question formats within those common assessments that happen throughout the year. Second thing that we're going to be asking and monitoring people to do is utilize that backwards planning process, thinking about delivering explicit grade level instruction, and with that, using those data-driven approaches to backwards plan. I think one of the things that we've identified are strengths of ours across our system is that we have a good basic understanding of backwards planning, but now we want to create that cohesive system where we're using student outcomes to drive that planning. And some of our attentional work this year, especially around assessments. Short cycle weekly data analysis. So this is going to be something new that we're going to be asking and engaging our PLTs to do this year. that is going to be a big part of the professional learning piece of this meeting specifically, is just providing those models of what exactly does that look like, what's that process and protocol, and how does it fit in with our larger assessment framework in terms of monitoring student progress. Lastly, last year we started some work around system-wide PSAT rollout with some practice days. So we saw those inserted into our half days throughout the year. This year, the district is getting a little more system-wide in terms of what that's going to look like. We have 2 specific designated days that we're going to focus those practice day rollouts on. One will be on October 24th, so just kind of launching into second quarter before we get too far into instruction, just kind of front loading. So we can get that data back. I know last year, one of our big misses was not getting teachers' data in hand regarding those testing practice sessions. This year, there's going to be a more intentional effort to, 1, get those assessments scored, and then 2, run reports that you can have in hand so you can use as a larger tool for the backwards planning process. So when we're connecting student outcomes to how we're going to move forward in instruction, being really systematic about the PSAT suite is a part of this year's assessment framework. So you'll have those opportunities to analyze the SAT suite data from those practice days, thinking about targeting some of your instructional approaches to meet the needs of our students around that gatekeeping assessment. And again, reinforcing that these question formats are very specific, connected with higher order thinking skills. So again, last year we had a systematic rollout in terms of taking the exam. This year, the next step added is getting data in hand that's student focused, we can individualize and then respond to at a classroom level. Okay. Great, thanks, Julie. One of the handouts that you got, that you have in front of you, is just an overall graphic that aligns what our assessment framework, what we already have in place, okay? And so this models after a very general assessment framework. This is just modified to explicitly show what are we doing at a district and school level, and what does this mean for us as a school, in my classroom and in my PLT. So our yearly summative assessments, we really take these to demonstrate what students know on a year-to-year basis based on yearly outcomes. So feedback on progress towards school goals, that's where you're going to see our school performance framework, SAT suite, broader school or grade department level focuses, literacy, math, science, we have CMAS, access testing for English proficiency. So you see all of those yearly assessments land in that summative category. And our school is really, our school performance framework is really determined on some of these outcomes. Quarterly, we have seen the district be really intentional or approach a really intentional systemic rollout of interim assessments and how those inform our instruction in terms of progress towards quarterly standards. They allow periodic adjustments to instruction. These are assessments that are going to inform your instruction. So we like to call these formative assessments, assessments for learning. And then finally, the formative assessments on the classroom level, we're looking at, feedback on student learning in connection with direct instruction more frequently. This is where the short cycle data analysis will come into our framework, thinking about that additional layer that makes a really comprehensive assessment framework overall, not just for our larger pieces in terms of school outcomes and district-aligned curriculum outcomes, but also thinking about how are we aligning at the classroom level to some of those assessments that we see as a part of a larger framework. Great, I have 2 minutes. So turns out I had a lot more to say than I thought. So finally, some of these SAT suite practice days, you're going to get intentional training on the October 21st in-service day. So a part of that is going to be rolling out the system about what this is going to look like this year. And we want to, as much as possible, model actual testing conditions, not just for students, for teachers as well. We want to make sure that we are stabilizing testing environments for our students so they can come in, you know what to expect and feel confident in your delivery, and students know what to expect when they come in as, freeing their mind to test the best testing conditions possible so they can show what they know and demonstrate their learning. This means building a collaborative culture that has an intense attention to details. A part of that, missing our 95% participation, is not being tight and intentional with details, okay? And that's a part of what my charge this year as the person who is facilitating assessments. That's one of my focuses, and I want to build that culture with us as a staff generally. So you're going to have in-service training on the 21st. Systems plannings and teams. I'm starting to form some intentional planning teams around these days, but not just now, but again, to model that intentional planning for the actual test days in April. So if you're interested in PBIS and attendance, student engagement, systems and logistics, and being a part of that team that structures our home-based support for each grade level, let me know. I'm looking for folks to help support that effort. Finally, continued opportunities for distributive leadership. Being a part of these building level teams empowers folks to have a say and then a hand on the way some of these things are rolled out. I know in the past I've had a lot of frustrations around our assessment protocols and how we just approach this in general. I would strongly encourage, if you feel those same frustrations, to be a part of the solution. Thank you. Also, we're going to continue to give you opportunities to provide feedback. A part of today's survey is going to have a piece about assessments. I want to know what you know is working well, what are some areas we need to work on, and then finally, if you have ideas for those half days where students are going to be expected to come and test in the morning. The model shows a modified schedule in the afternoon, but if we can get creative, I'm willing to get creative with you. All right, thank you.
Good job. Can I have the necklace? I need the necklace. We're taping this, so I need to have the necklace. All right, now we're going to transition to the Literacy and Math 90-day plan. Before I do, I just want to follow up with one of the professional development norms specific to technology. I love that so many of you have this slideshow up on your work computer. I know that it's sometimes difficult to see the screen up here. If you are viewing it on your computer, feel free to keep that up. If you're not, please just close your laptop so that we can be fully present. It would really help to just maintain the fidelity and integrity of this time together. Don't mean to micromanage you, but just want to make sure we're all on the same page. With that said, let me make sure I get my little timer set. All right. 90-day plan context for literacy and math. Literacy and math teachers, we know how hard you're working, and we know how difficult it is to have the SAT suite be specifically connected to some of your core priority standards. Social studies and science, we appreciate you as well, reinforcing those elements within your own content areas. We are a team pushing these interims and CFAs forward. Electives, we appreciate your support as well. We are all a team working for our kiddos. With the school performance framework, it is vulnerable to be assessed and evaluated. However, this is the current system we have in place. We recognize the importance of building relationships with students and creating that engaging environment. We do need to strengthen and tighten up some of our approaches, and we have this time to figure that out. In addition to the PLT time, the DDI Day on Friday. I'm really excited about those opportunities. So with our school priority, we need to provide continued instruction and learning tasks that promote daily access to the grade level content priority standards for all of our kids, specifically our language learners and our students with disabilities. We're doing a fantastic job with the various levels of programming that we have for our kiddos within our CLDE programming, within our co-teaching frameworks. Thank you so much. And we're going to continue to move forward to create this process in your classes and the backwards planning structure within your PLTs. The goal, if we think about the SAT suite, and we're talking about PSAT 9, PSAT 10, and SAT, we have 4 levels for our kids. Does not meet, approaching, meets, okay, and exceeds. Yes, thank you. So many things to remember. With those 4 categories, we just want to make some improvements and have students transition to the next level. And we want to think about how to actually identify where students currently are and what they need to improve. What are those gaps? What are those opportunities for enrichment? What are those opportunities for differentiation? So that is our goal. And our assessment strategy that Jen talked about is something that we are going to be more systematic within the PLT and within these DDI days. And we're going to do this together. Every year, and this is my 5th, we have tackled this in a variety of ways, and it has made a significant difference. Although our SPF says, pending turnaround because of participation rate, we did have success in growth. And as a department and ILT team, we're going to be unpacking that. It will reach all of you within your PLTs. We are very proud of that work. So just feel affirmed and validated for everything that we've been doing. We just need to tighten up some things moving forward, and we're going to make that happen. With the 90-day plan, and these steps are consistent with English and math. That is our focus in terms of increasing proficiency. We want to continue to engage in that backwards planning process. Reviewing the interims, reviewing the priority standards, making sure that the standards are in student-friendly language so that they actually know what they're trying to accomplish. We want to make sure they're grade level appropriate. That vertical alignment between teams is significant, and we're trying to figure out how to be intentional in carving out some of that time for you. We also want to make sure that we are taking the SAT suite critical thinking skills and crosswalking it with the priority standards, and then adding that other layer of the WIDA can-do descriptors that we looked at the days before school. You should know who your kiddos are and where they are in terms of their access levels and where we want to push them moving forward. PLTs, you're going to continue your work with your common assessments, your rubrics. You want to make sure that we are calibrating proficiency and providing exemplars for students with that modeling framework. This is what proficiency looks like, and this is what we can do to help you get there. Also, we are committed as a team of administrators and TOSAs of spending time with you all in the PLTs, observing your work, giving you feedback in connection to that PLT process rubric, and also pushing into your classrooms and giving you feedback connected to the quality standards and elements in RANDA. We also are counting on all of you to have some checks for understanding with the short cycle assessment protocol. And you're going to have some time today, a chunk of time, to figure out what that looks like in development with an upcoming lesson that you have. Let's see, I have one more slide. All right. How do we know if we're meeting our 90-day plans? And this is in connection with assessment, English, and math. How do we know? What evidence are we going to use to collect to know whether or not we've been successful? And how are we going to make those adjustments throughout the year? All right. Lots of data. Lots of data. We're going to be so, surrounded by data, and we're going to help you all sort through it so that it's not overwhelming. Sometimes it feels confusing. What data really forms that body of evidence for our students. And then how do we respond to it? Within the PLT structure and within the DDI process, we have the interim assessments, we have the CFAs, and that's going to be happening on Friday. And then we also have the action plans that you're going to be creating. Do you need? Okay. Am I running out of time? No. That's right. I'm on track. All right. So on Friday, you're going to be completing those action plans. We've done something similar as a school with our afternoon data digs. Yes, whoop whoop. We are paving the way for what the district is now putting together. We've had practice. I really feel affirmed and validated by that. You all are going to walk in Friday feeling confident and feeling like you really have a lens because of the practice that we've had these past couple years, and it has made a difference. We're also going to look at the data points connected to the Writing Initiative PGP, that SLO. At this time, hopefully, with your SLO, you have baseline 1, baseline 2, you've set those performance targets, we're ready to go, and you are sharing ownership with kiddos so that they know how they can partner in that growth process. We also have the quarterly progress and final grades. As we have about, 2 weeks left of quarter 1, please make sure you're evaluating that grading structure within Infinite Campus. Bless you. We recognize that we need to develop some common understandings with that rubric that the district put in place in terms of the 8 points. We are going to get there together. Please make sure that you are implementing that grading philosophy so that our students have those multiple opportunities to demonstrate that proficiency. And please recognize that we do have high expectations as a school. We want equity in grade level standards. That is very, very important. We want those high levels of rigor happening in your classrooms with those scaffolded questions, with those assessments, and we're very, very excited to be a part of that process with you. We are going to be touching base periodically through this process within the PLTs and then within the classroom. And we're here to problem solve with you if your students are not meeting those expectations. We want to put those academic interventions in place connected to the MTSS structure. We are moving in the right direction, and I just want to thank you for being a part of these plans. We are really excited about leveraging this momentum that we have. All right, I have 1 minute to spare, but I'm going to pass the microphone. All right. There you go, on the necklace. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, you don't want me. I was going to put it on you. Okay. There you go.
Awkward. All right, cool. All right, guys. So the document you should have out in front of you right now, please, is the PLT process rubric. You're also going to need something to write with or highlight with. If you're returning with us this year, this is not a new document for you, but in considering where we needed to grow as a school and become more cohesive, we wanted to revisit this document and make some agreements together as groups. So you're about to have 5 minutes of private think time where you personally, by yourself, I think I see your hand right over there, Miss Julie. Oh. Where you would personally place your PLT on each of these rubric strands. So again, to yourself, where would you place yourself? And now, dun, da, da. Oh. All right, this is a time for you guys to turn and talk to each other and have some of that honesty with each other. This is how we're functioning as a team when we consider this rubric. The outcome of this time will be a feedback form where you guys, not a feedback form, a commitment form where you guys say, as a PLT, this is where we intend to grow, just so that we as an administration team or a TOSA team can support you in the PLTs in the way that you've identified that you need that help. I'm going to do a catch and release model a la my good friend Paul Reyes. So I'm not going to just say, hey, we want you to talk about all of these strands. We're going to chunk out the time a little bit and say, talk about strand 1, okay, come back together, now talk about strand 2, and kind of do a catch and release, okay? So if you would please turn to your teams, and you're talking about what's going well, what you're proud about, and be really honest with each other about where you need to still grow and develop. And again, this is all leading to you making some commitments together as a group, okay? So 6 minutes on the clock for just the first rubric strand of collaborative culture. You need to identify a scribe. Sorry, singletons, but you've been voluntold. Miss Victoria Wyatt sent out an email with the links that you'll need for today. And that first link is about the commitments that you've just identified as a PLT. So with the scribe, please open up that Google form. And you guys are going to have about 5 minutes to capture the discussion you just had. Not that one. The first link. There you go.
What's the name of the PLT?
I hope you know the name of your PLT.
Visual arts? Okay. Because I always think I'm technology.
Who's the scribe, guys?
It was whoever got it up first. It was a race to see who got it up first.
All right. Looks like she won. She was the big winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
All right, why does it look like the 2 ideas we had was
Yeah, this one they had open.
Oh, we did.
Yep,
Yeah.
first link.
Yeah.
You bet. One, a scribe. Choose a scribe.
When we talk about like these,
I'm sorry, Amy, I've got 5 minutes on the timer. Does that work?
That's great.
I'll come up and give you
Was that you guys? You're hilarious.
Thank you. I did that at the beginning of the year.
Hey guys, who's your scribe? Your scribe for the form?
Oh, we've already filled it out.
Bitchin', thanks.
You want this?
I just want to make sure it was done. You're good.
Yeah, we already sent it.
Awesome. I got the mic on, or I'd say.
Just to clarify, 3 commitments are required. There's a 4th that's not required, so that's optional.
It's an option, yeah.
Okay, so you pick, but you have to have 3. Got it. Just clarify.
Okay. So we're
No. Just a first commit. Yes, exactly.
I know, we're basing this on 50% of our department.
I understand. I'm so sorry you guys are.
All right.
Thanks for holding it down for the PE department. Julia's, wherever she is.
So it says commitment 1, 2.
Just 3 total commitments. You don't have to go in an order or something.
Because we wrote them down as we went through.
Yes. So just if you could prioritize, don't feel like you have to write everything you just said. It's my attention. 2 more minutes to come to consensus.
And we also celebrate.
Hey,
She literally.
ladies, did we do a sound check on the videos?
We did not.
Cool.
Should we do that?
I was just thinking, because there's the sound core right there. I think is it this one right here?
Probably. Can we freeze this so they can't see what we're doing? Oh,
Nope.
shit.
Point it, yeah.
Okay, try it
Nope.
now.
No, it said freeze up at the top. Try again. There we go.
Shake it up.
30 seconds.
Taylor Swift video. Let's do it.
Oh, I don't know. I just picked one. Is that coming out? Yeah, it's coming out. Okay.
Perfect. We're good. Thank you for checking that, because I did not think about that.
All right, wrap it up. Make sure you press submit, because your team is counting on you, Scribe. Way to be strong, Jen. Way to be strong. Are we good? Okay, please hit submit. And we are going to be changing topics and tracks just a little bit. It's still in the PLT umbrella, and it's more on the short cycle data process. So the next item you're going to want to pull out, it says short cycle weekly assessments protocol. And if your back is to the screen, you're going to want to turn it around.
I gotta wear this thing.
You do.
I'm gonna be all chubby. Jeez. Okay, guys, so we are gonna transition into the short cycle weekly assessment protocol. Just like Amy said, you're gonna need this sheet. I know that Jen mentioned it when she was speaking. Julie mentioned it. But we are going to be very intentional about looking at data weekly. So rather than allowing misconceptions to go by for 2 to 3 weeks and then we catch it when they take the summative assessment, we're going to try to catch those misconceptions a little earlier and just make sure that we're being intentional when we're looking at data. So you guys have this lovely sheet in front of you. It's kind of broken down. We're going to do some video work here in a second. But what I want to highlight is the times. There's some times on the side. You can stick to those times, but the 2 examples I'm going to show you covers all of this, and it's not necessarily bounded by this time. Some of these questions that you'll see in here are like suggested questions you can ask, but you can come up with your own questions. You can have those meaningful conversations based around your content areas. So the first box, the pre-work, this is pretty much what you're doing before you come into your PLT. You've given your assessment, you've graded your assessment, you know what the data looks like. You have 17 kids who mastered. You have 32 kids who did not master. You're coming in with that information. So everything in the pre-work box is what you're going to be doing before you come to PLT, whichever day you guys decide you're going to do your DDI protocol. The next box is setting a goal. You guys can do this in your agenda. You can write out, PLT leaders can write out the goal. You can do it collaboratively. I know when I did this, I did it collaboratively. We like to sit together and say, what do we want our goal for this meeting to be as we look at data? So really setting that goal, how are we going to make sure that we're just focusing on the data and not letting side conversations or anything take us away from what the meaningful, more powerful work is when we're looking at the data. So as we go through this sheet, again, I don't want to go through step by step just because I want to get you guys out before 5:30 because I got a 2-year-old that I want to go home to. So I'm not going to go through everything on here. You can look at this. The thing that I do want to highlight on the side as we go through the videos, I'm going to be stopping at certain points, having you guys do some turn-in talks, jotting down some notes based on what you see and how it relates to the box in which we're in. So the first box, setting that goal. We're going to take a look at a video. We're going to look at the first minute, give you guys some time to turn and talk, and then we'll go from there. Any questions so far? Perfect. So you guys also, so you are aware, if you have trouble hearing, this is the email that I think Julie sent out today or Amy sent out in regards to maybe having your headphones, something like that. This is the time in which you can do that. The 2 video links are in the email I sent right before PD, so if you want to follow along that way, that's fine too.
So we are dealing with 3, which is analyzing graphic informational text. I have everybody's data as entered into the file in the Dropbox. My numbers were interesting. I didn't have anybody proficient, which is bad, but I only had 3 interventions, so everybody's right there in the middle. I think everybody can move up. Were y'all seeing the same type stuff? What about your numbers?
I actually had a good number in the proficient range, right at 40%, so it was a good day moving here.
And again, I only have 1 student in proficient, but as you were saying, I only have 1 intervention student as well, so my students are pretty much right there in the middle. Right. It is interesting that overall only 11% of all of our students were intervention, so that's a pretty good number to work with at moving up.
Okay, so if you guys will, I think we have, take about 30 seconds, again, trying to be respectful of your time. Talk to a shoulder partner, talk to the people at your table. What do you notice in the data conversation during that initial step? So take about a minute or so, have that conversation with folks around you. Yeah.
Playing with Illuminate a little bit and just trying to figure out, is there some way we can take all of our teacher data and pool it together? Is there any way we can do that?
Not across the board. Yeah, so it's going to come out by class, but you mean all of your data collectively at one?
Well, no. I mean, we wanted to put our, take my teacher data, mine, Antonio's, Jenny's, all that stuff, and kind of put it all together.
I think I can do that as long as I have access to the assessment and you're all giving the exact same assessment. Because when I look at it, I see all students. Okay. So you may only see your class, Antonio may only see his. I can see all of the classes. So that might be something that I can pull and just see what are the trends across the board between all of the students. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, and we're doing our PSAT stuff. So we don't want you to have to make that something that you do every single week.
Well, I mean, if I'm coming to your PLT, yeah. It's a quick push of a button for me. I really just have to, as long as you guys have shared the assessment with me and I have access to it, okay. We're good.
All right, okay. Well,
yeah.
Maybe we can try that with one of them and see how it works.
Okay. Okay, guys, let's come back together. So I just want to, can you guys hear me? Nope, not anymore. Can you hear me? I don't think I did. Oh, okay. So can I just get like 1 or 2 people to give me a quick share out of what you guys saw initially? I don't know names very well, so I'll call on the people I do know, so don't make me do it. Mr. Miller.
They were honest with their data.
Yes. Very, very honest with their data, although it might not have been like the best data that we want to see as teachers. They were honest and they were open about it. Anything else we saw? Yes. Starting with the goal in mind. Yes, thank you.
I would say they were polite and respectful to each other.
Yeah, and that seems like one of those little things, but that's a big piece with this data, is being very respectful of one another, because if I'm teaching the same content that Mr. Trumbull is teaching and his kids did amazing and my kids did crappy, I'm probably going to feel some kind of way, like, what is he doing that I'm not? So being that respectful piece is great. So if you guys move down to number 2, we're going to start with the exemplar. We're going to watch it till about 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So just keep that question in mind, and then we'll have another turn and talk. Boop-doo.
So let's start with step 2.
How am I doing on time?
Is identifying the strengths and performance areas within the students.
It's okay. What time should I be done?
Kind of giving this some thought beforehand, so we can look
5:04 is when I'm supposed to be done.
How you want to start us off with proficiency, since you had that largest group?
Yeah, and it was a couple trends I saw. One is that they were better able to determine symbolic meanings in the graphic features. When I had them look at the pictures and political cartoons, they were able to see that this.
If you guys are okay, I think I'm going to skip over the feedback video. Or do you guys think? And then just.
The same things that Hal was saying.
I'm going to skip over that and then just speak to what's in here about reteaching. And maybe we could just have a conversation rather than the video. It'll go a little faster.
I think that she had all the ideas and could follow her thinking, but it wasn't that 3. I thought it was still 10.
One other thing I wanted to note is that mine seemed to be able to make the connections to the real world a little bit easier. They were able to do that text-to-world connection thing that we had.
All right, so Hal, based on that text-to-world connection, what difference can you make?
Well, just thinking about the symbols and relating them to the real world, they were able to think abstractly about it. They were able to speak about the real world and transfer it over.
So take about 30 seconds. What did you guys see? What category of learners did the team begin discussing in the steps? What do you notice about the discussion? Take about 30 seconds.
So we're on the first video, and then we have...
I'm going to do this last question, and then I'm just going to skip over the entire second video. Because we can just talk, I can breeze through like the reteaching, and maybe that's just something or we can, when we push into their PLTs, be intentional about asking those questions and things like that.
Give them 20 minutes of work time for the short cycle. We could probably cut that down.
Oh.
Put your thumb over the metal part. Sure. Cover it.
I'm still gonna do the video. I'm just not gonna do the video. So maybe what we can do is maybe cut down their work time to 15 minutes. All right, guys, let's go ahead and come back together. Can I get one person just to share out their thought? We'll have a little bit more time to discuss. What are some of the things that we're noticing about their discussion?
Should we have agreed before they decided who was proficient and what proficiency was? Because it seems like they were trying to establish that now after they already had decided who was proficient.
And that's one of the big steps, like with the pre-work and with like the goals. There were some times, because this is something that I've done in my past as a teacher, there were some times we came in and didn't know what proficient looked like. We calibrated on what proficient looked like, But then there were times as we made the test, we determined what proficient looked like. So it's really kind of up to the discretion of the PLT. If you guys want to come in knowing what proficiency looks like, great. If you want to establish that during this data conversation, that's fine too.
And do we mean proficiency for that individual student or some overall standard?
The more so the standard, not by student, but like what does mastery look like for that particular assessment? And it might be a little different with you guys, I know, as fine arts, and that's something that we can talk about. Yes?
One thing we notice is that they start off with positive. What are their students' strengths and what were they able to do? Which is always a good place to start. It's so easy to go the other route first.
Yep.
And then they were talking about, I think they moved into the strategy phase where he was talking about, this is what I use. These are the teaching implements that I use in order to help my students better grasp this content.
Yep. Thank you for that. The starting with like the positive is great. Starting with what the proficient students were doing that was good, that's always a great place to start, because just like you said, it's so easy to say, well, my kids didn't get this, and this, and we lose sight of the things that they did correctly. So we're going to watch like the last 2 minutes, and then we'll kind of condense this time a little bit.
All right. So what are our next steps with those to proficient or higher?
I think we could move them up on blooms, and I think they would most benefit from creating a political cartoon. Where, I mean, they seem to be understanding graphic features and understanding political cartoons, but understanding and creating are two totally different things, and I think it would give them a chance to be creative, but also show their thinking and take it to that next level.
Good.
If they can create and explain what they're doing, I think it's going to really help them.
Very good. And I think that's our inference there, is by understanding that creation process, the students will analyze more deeply, because they'll really understand what the artist is getting at. All right, close to proficient. I took a close look at these, and their strengths as a whole, they do well comparing information in the graphic with information from their background knowledge. I feel like they do tap into their background knowledge really well. Because of that, I think we've done a good job. My inference there is that we have done well in showing them the text-to-text, text-to-world, text-to-self connections.
Especially text-to-self.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I noticed that as well with mine.
What about performance errors and misconceptions? Anything? Obviously something.
Well, my proficient kids were doing well with the symbolism. These guys didn't do so well. They were having a little bit of trouble interpreting the symbols and related into the visual.
Do you think that's lack of experience?
Yeah, and I think it's also just trying to get that answer so quick. They're not going in depth on the analysis as fast as they, or as deeply as they could. They're trying to spit out that right answer a little too fast.
Okay. And it's almost like they see the obvious signs of it, but they're not taking it to that next step.
Right. I had that deal as a weakness, that they struggle with getting beyond the obvious answer. So my inference would be that they struggle to think outside the box.
So take about 30 seconds, discuss that last box. What are you seeing coming out of this discussion? Take about 30 more seconds. I'll just do this one for Ken so I can just breeze through. All right, guys, coming back together. What are some of our noticings from the second half of that video?
Higher level thinking comes with creativity. If I have to put English in my classroom, perhaps you need more creativity in yours.
So that creativity piece. Anything else that we're seeing about this discussion compared to the first discussion? Sorry, that they had. I have a mic in my hand and I'm not using it. I got a bunch of quiet people. So what I'll say, I'll go ahead and say it. The obvious, they're identifying those misconceptions. So you kind of heard him comparing what his proficient students got versus what his not proficient students got. So that's kind of where these conversations can go. So thinking about how we can do this here at Hinckley, because they're clearly somewhere in the South, they have the same lessons, they're giving all that stuff together. That's not Hinckley High School. So how can we make that ours? How can we turn this process into like a T-Bird process that we can take ownership and have pride in doing weekly in our teams? So what could it look like? You can use your SAT suite. I know that my Core 1 team does this weekly with their SAT data, and it works very well. They're doing it in Illuminate. Now we're going to have more intentional conversations around that. That's what they're using. So that's one option. Short constructed responses. Those are really easy. I know like my English teachers need to use those. So yes, WIDA can do descriptors. That's something that Mr. Reyes went over in those opening days. He can definitely support you in how you can do that. ULS curriculum, that's especially for our ESS teachers. Weekly progress monitoring, IEP goals and objectives, standards reference, platform ideas. I know I'm like the person that beats Illuminate down your throats. I'm sorry, I apologize ahead of time. That's one platform you can use. Good old paper and pencil, Kahoot, however you want to go about doing this. It's just driving us to look at data weekly and more intentionally. Any questions so far? Concerns? Great. Okay. So, yes.
I know I'm working with a lot of elective-based teams, right? That are
Julie, we want to give 15 or how long? Okay.
We see this also at like upper-level social studies. You might see it a little bit in science, maybe. Technology, we're seeing it in world languages, and part of the reflective thinking that like Jim and I have been doing is thinking about how to be intentional about transferable skills, and even thinking about that SAT suite style of questions and the thinking skill associated with that. These are ways that we can align across content without having to teach specific content and wondering where do we align. Those are some ways that you can align. So it's thinking about being a little more flexible and thinking about what transfers across content, right? And so that's something I think Jim and I had some reflective conversations about.
Thank you. So we want to give you guys the next 15 minutes to discuss what your next assessment, what that common assessment is going to look like in your PLTs. We want to allow you guys that time to talk. Decide what you're going to do. If you're like Core 1 and you're already doing it, how are you going to make this just that much better? Any questions so far? The short cycle, yes. So what are you planning for your next short cycle data dig with your PLT? So we have 15 minutes and we'll come back together. I got a 10-minute timer, then I'll set a 5-minute timer.
So you got the timer?
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Thanks. How do I turn this off? Okay, and is there a way to turn this thing off?
I don't think Amy wants to.
Do we keep this on, Amy? You want to keep it on? Okay.
Or we could just, have fun with it, Victoria. Just kidding.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so based on our conversation on Tuesday,
You're out of here? Yeah. I just couldn't remember what time. I'm supposed to want. Is it 5:20? Well, I don't know. I think I'm next. Oh, I think Julie did. But I think I'm 5:20 for 5:30. Okay. So like, oh, you have 10 now. Yeah.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of Jolly Ranchers. There's your Laffy Taffy, though.
Yeah. That doesn't fit a lot. All the stickers are done.
Or you want to rein it in? And...
Is it that time already?
No, we're not done. But we're done with this. It's my turn to talk. Right now? Yeah. I don't know, because it would be 5:20 to 5:30. I mean, we're giving them 10 minutes to fill out the feedback.
That's not, this was not 15 minutes of work time. I don't think we're going to have time to do
We can give them 5 minutes for the feedback form. You can do that if you want to do 5:25. I just feel like people get really antsy at like 5:30, so I'd like to
Raise your hand if your PLT needs another minute of work time. One minute. 1 minute. make it work.
Where's my little clicker?
I'm gonna wear this.
There you go, you're teched up.
Okay, all right. How delightful. All right, guys, let's circle back and talk a little bit about culture and climate. Please don't make me clap. I don't want to. So I have the pleasure of talking to you guys about the culture and climate, the things we're doing in our building already, where we're headed, all of that wonderful stuff. What I do recognize too is you guys have been sitting for a very long time. So if anybody needs to stand up, stretch, wiggle, whatever, go for it, because I know it's been a long time. So thank you guys for your patience today and the hard work that you are putting in. Like Jen said, I get to be the cool mom and talk to you guys about the just the fun stuff that we're already seeing in our building. Part of the 90-day plan really is around culture and climate, increasing teacher and student perceptions of the supports that are available within our building. So some of our priority really is around creating positive, productive, predictable, consistent school culture, making our expectations for staff and students clear. So I wanted to capture some of the stuff we are already doing and also where we're headed this year. So walking around, if you guys have the chance to check out in the counseling office, we are utilizing the school pilots this year to support our students and increase staff and student culture with our school pilots. I had the opportunity to talk to them about the areas of need that they recognize within our student population. And so they were really a good kind of think tank for me in terms of growing some of the stuff within the school. So we'll be utilizing our pilots this year. This picture down here is really cool. This is our seniors and their names who will walk at graduation. So this is another thing to support our 12th graders. They get to put their name wherever they want on the bulletin board in counseling. So it's really awesome. So yay, counseling. Here's what we're doing school-wide so far. So if you walk through the building, they're really working on mindfulness. Our counselors and our special service providers, deans, that's why they're all meeting today, is to discuss some of the mindfulness activities that can be productive for our students when they're escalated. So counseling will have a mindfulness room. Our ESS department in 1350 will also have a room. It's really neat. This is the stuff that came in from district. There's yoga mats, like fidgets, different yoga activities. They have some salt lamps. Some of the other things they're working on is like heart rate monitors. So when kids are escalated, what are some of the tools that they can use to bring their heart rate down? So we really want to support the social emotional needs of our students here at Hinckley. One of the other opportunities we have next semester is our mental health providers are partnering with Freedom Service Dogs to bring in, yay! So we're bringing in a group that partners with Freedom Service Dogs to train dogs for service members, individuals with autism, a bunch of different disabilities. So mental health will be working with students who may need this opportunity to train these dogs and just an opportunity for them. So this is something new. It's a little bit of a pilot in this building. In my previous school, we've used it. It's been really beneficial. Eventually, we'd like to look into having a therapy dog at Hinckley as well. So I want to highlight the ESS wing as much as I can as well, but it also is you guys, and you guys are making the difference. So in 1350, we have a bulletin board that will change out every month. This month, our speech pathologist did our CEPT member, and our ESS team is a part of different memes. So my favorite is Austin's and AN. It says there's no bad kids, only, what was it? Only little problem, or little, what was it, Austin? Happy problems, and it's Bob Ross. So there's some fun things there. This one is outside of 1350, and we are spotlighting a student in our ESS department as well as a teacher or a staff member that has really supported our department that's not within ESS. So this time we have Shannon Campos as our spotlight, who really exemplifies Hinckley and supports our students. And so yay for Shannon. And so this will switch out. This will switch out every 2 to 3 weeks with a different student and a different staff member. And then also I wanted to highlight our classroom supports. Walking around the classroom, you guys have been working really hard to use our tiered interventions, our 6R process, displaying those in the classroom, as well as some of the teachers have worked on class norms with their students, and these are written out within the classroom. So thank you guys very much also for providing this consistent expectations in the classroom. That's super helpful. It's the same language and the same expectations in each classroom. If you have not put those up, please let us know if you need them, because we can absolutely provide those. Here are some of the other things that we are doing that I think is really important for our building. PBIS, thank you guys. If you're on PBIS, can you raise your hand? Yay, thank you. If you're participating in Morale Pal this year, can you raise your hand? Yay, awesome. Our ESS department has the Sunshine Committee, so bringing forward positivity throughout the building. Beautification Club, raise your hand. Yay! Thank you for beautifying our school. You're welcome. Yes, thank you. And the College and Career Center, we're really working on having an acceptance board and a way also to display that piece of it for kids that are scholarship recipients. They have been admitted into college, going into the military. We're working on MTSS, our tiered interventions. And then this one's my favorite. I wanted to share with you guys that if you're familiar with this artist, Kelsey Montague, she's the one that paints the wings throughout the whole world. She just recently did a Taylor Swift mural for her video. Kelsey's art actually is coming here to Hinckley. She will be painting a mural that exemplifies the greatness of Hinckley through our T-Bird. And so she will be here April 23rd and 24th. We're still determining the exact location of where this mural will be painted. But our goal, again, is to build that pride in Hinckley, have our students take pictures and all of these things around our building. So pretty excited about that. And then last but not least, I get to close you guys off with our survey and our feedback form. Thank you again, you guys, for being here, being a part of this, being active participants in growing our assessment process, and also working through our 90-day plan with all of us. If you guys could take the opportunity to fill this feedback form before you guys leave, that would be very, very helpful. Thank you.
All right, please keep in mind that that is your ticket out the door. We have included time for you to complete that. Your feedback means a lot to us. We want to have the responses that reflect the numbers that actually were present at today's PD. So please take that time. We've got about 8 minutes. And we do respond to that feedback to the best of our ability. And thank you so much for putting in a long, long day. The form was in the link that Victoria sent. The third link. How many links can we put in one email, right? Yeah, that third link in Victoria's email, please take it. Please be sweet and graceful to us. Give us grace. Be graceful.
And just to reiterate, that is very important, and we will respond to it, as evidenced by the email I sent out with 70+ responses. So I do want to know, it's very helpful to see where people are, what the patterns are, so please give us some honest feedback. It's very useful.
Can I give you some feedback? All right, let's unpack it. Laura, did you take that?